This is Coach Lee, and in this video, I'm going to answer the difficult question, will your ex come back to you? Take a quick second and click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this, and that includes videos on attraction, relationship dynamics, marriage, and mindfulness. A lot of times, hurting people will ask by comments on my YouTube channel, or they will email me and they will ask, will my ex come back? Will they come back? They'll tell me some information and they'll think that that information will tell me the answer and I can tell them, and they can get relief, and no contact or just the breakup in general will be easier for them because they will know that this person is going to come back to them. Also know that I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and I will link to those below so that you can follow me there. As you might imagine, this is a difficult question to answer. Will your ex come back to you? However, it's probably the most important question to you at the moment, and I completely understand that. So what I'm going to do is explain to you some of the ways that I try to project and determine what the odds are that this person will come back to you after they've broken up with you. I will list a few different situations. I highly suggest that you listen to all the situations because it will only educate you and help you in this process. And the more that you know will help you now and in the future. And you'll be surprised how some of these things will apply to different types of situations, even though I'm just specifically mentioning one. It'll make more sense as we go. So first, if you were the person who broke up with the other person, that is, you initiated the breakup. You said, I think we should see other people, or I think we should break up, or I don't feel the same as I used to and I want to move on. Whatever it was that you said that basically said we're breaking up. If you did that, then your next step is actually fairly simple. You do not use the no contact rule. And a lot of people will reply in the comments on YouTube and they'll say, okay, I broke up with my girlfriend 3 weeks ago and I've been using no contact. Do you think she'll come back to me? Well, you were the one who pushed her away. You were the one who broke up with her. So it's your job to bridge the gap, not hers. You're the one who made the decision. So it's your job to undo that. And that applies male or female. Either way, if you did the breaking up, reach out to that person and say, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I see that now. I love you. Would you please consider taking me back? That's all that you can do. You have to be direct. You can't try to play games. You can't use the no contact rule, which is not a game. It's actually a mature response when someone has said, I want you out of my life. Giving them that is actually a mature response. But in this case, if you were the one who did it, your job is to reach out, period. It gets a little bit trickier if your ex thinks the ball's in your court, which means they could have broken up with you, but they see the role of coming back to them or you two getting back together as being something you do. That's not as simple to decipher and to determine what's going on, but what you can do is you can figure out this. Did you do something? Did you take an action that directly resulted in them breaking up with you? So an obvious one would be cheating on them or appearing to, being too close to that line with someone else, and their reaction was to break up with you. If that was the case, then they probably think the ball is in your court. In which case, reaching out to them with an apology, a sincere, heartfelt apology, expression that it will not happen again, and request that they consider taking you back is your first move. Once that's happened, you should not fall into the continual trap of trying to restate that and going into begging and pleading and trying to force contact and force your way back into their life. Once you have apologized sincerely and asked them to forgive you and consider taking you back, you actually go into the role of someone who has been fully dumped with having done nothing wrong. Not that you haven't done anything wrong, but that you've done all that you can, and anything more is only going to look stalkerish or like you're not respecting their decision, creepy, pathetic, whatever you want to call it. It can venture into that world, and you don't want to be in that world because the population is one and it's just you. So if you did something that caused the breakup, then you need to apologize for it, but then you need to go into no contact and let them reflect on this, let them think about this, and start to go through the stages that they will typically go through when you are using the no contact rule. And I have a video about that called Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact, interestingly enough. And I will link to that in the description below, where you could search on my channel for that video. It's about the stages your ex goes through while you're using the no contact rule and the journey they take going back to you. Another good video on that I have is how your ex comes back to you. So both of those would be effective in helping you understand what's going on and would be helpful to you as far as getting your ex back and knowing what to expect and what could happen. So once you've reached out about that and apologized, go into no contact, and the rest of my videos will apply more to you and your situation once you've done that. Now, if your ex thinks that you are dating or that you're trying to, you're going out on dates, you're seeing people, that's where you can also run into a little bit of a snag, because some people will actually respond to that by trying to move on. Now, don't get me wrong. Whenever your ex breaks up with you, they will try to move on. No doubt about it. That's why you've got to back off and leave them alone, because you reaching out and pursuing will only push them further to move on. And of course, that's unless they want to get back together with you and they've stated that, and things have to happen before that can be the case. I'm merely stating, when someone has said, I want to break up with you, and they've been clear about that, and it's a normal, clean breakup, that person will try to move on. It will be an effort they will make. Backing off, giving them the breakup. That's like breaking up with them right back. That's your best chance, because it slows them down. There's no need to run if you're not chasing. And so they don't get further away. And the closer you can have them, the better your chances of getting them fully back. But with many people, if they think that you are already trying to date, even if they feel jealous, they may try even harder to move on just because they don't want the competition and the mess. They might think that you're done with them. There's all kinds of things they could think. And I know that in the movies and even with some other coaches, that they really push this jealousy thing, that you should go out with other people and let them see that, let your ex see that, and that'll get your ex back. In the minority of cases, it will help. Most of the time, and this is 20 years of experience talking, most of the time that blows up in your face, because a lot of times people will see that. Either they will think, I don't want to have to deal with the competition, I'm going to move on. Or they will think, wow, they were able to start dating again that quickly after we broke up. And they'll think that you didn't really care about them, that you must not really value the relationship, and that they must not mean that much to you. And again, I get that they have broken up with you, and there's some irony in that, and even some hypocrisy. I'm just telling you what they're likely to think. That's especially true if they haven't started dating, but it's also true even if they have, which is a little bit odd. The mature thing to do is to give yourself time. You are respectful of the relationship by doing that, respectful of yourself, and respectful of your ex, at least in terms of setting the groundwork for them to be able to come back to you more easily. There's no need to just hop right back out there and start dating. I know your friends might tell you that, hey, get back out there. And that might sound really good. But if you've been in a serious long-term relationship, you need some time to just heal, to just be single. And sometimes, usually that's about a 3-month period minimum, depending on the length of the relationship. That's where you take time to be with friends and family. And I talk about that in other videos. And to focus on yourself, to reflect, to learn, and maybe, hopefully, to get your ex back. And that's what I help people to do. So click the subscribe button below and you can be notified when I have more videos like this. And we'll get going with the next half of this video. I have a video on clues that your ex actually wants to get back together with you, and I will link to that in the description below here on YouTube. But there are ways that you can at least know if you have a good chance of getting your ex back. And there's a little bit of a slippery slope here that I need to warn you about, in that it is not healthy for you to stalk your ex. And by that I mean on social media or otherwise, trying to see what they're doing, just looking at pictures of them constantly. That will only hurt you, will make it more difficult for you to be strong, and will make it more likely that you'll reach out to them, which you shouldn't at this moment. But I also am a realist. I understand that you may do some of that you will probably do some of that, and you will be looking for clues to see if your ex is going to come back to you. Obviously, there's no way for me to just make an absolute prediction and say, yes, definitely, they're going to come back. I have been very confident in that before and have expressed that to clients, but it's very difficult to predict human behavior, except in the general sense. That being said, after 20 years, it is amazing at how so many people fall into pattern that I have seen before. So that's a positive. So here's a few things you can look for. First of all, if your ex can't stop communicating with you, they just keep reaching out, they find excuses to reach out, they find excuses to show up and be around you, that's a great sign that your ex is eventually going to come back to you. Now, again, is it absolute? No, but what is? It's a good sign, and you should take that to heart. That should be encouraging. If your ex shows curiosity about your life, what's going on with you? What happened today? How's your parents? How's your pet? How's your career? How's your pain with your knee? Things like that. That is a craving for intimacy. They want to know the details of your life, and that is so important. They're missing that, is what that means. That's a great sign. Now, you may be wondering, well, if I'm in no contact, how would I know that? Well, as I've said in other videos, being in no contact means you are not contacting your ex. You're not initiating contact. Doesn't mean that your ex will not contact you, and you should not ignore your ex. I have a video about that and how that blows up in people's faces when they try it, because if your ex is making movement towards you and you do nothing, you don't respond, you ignore them, most of the time people dislike rejection. I've never met anyone who says, man, I love it when she rejects me. Man, I love it when he rejects me. Yeah, that doesn't happen. And so you're actually wanting your ex to contact you. And when they do, you shouldn't ignore them, because I've spoken to people who did the dumping and they've said, I reached out and I was ignored. So I didn't want to reach out again. I didn't want to be ignored again. And though it hurt, I was able to move on in time because I figured they didn't want to hear from me and that it was impossible. So don't ignore your ex. I know people say to do that and it sounds kind of cool, like you're just really being strong, but you're really not. You're just kind of being rude, and you're rejecting this person when they're making movement towards you, and maybe they've realized they made a mistake, and that's the last time you would want to reject them and ignore them. So no contact does not mean ignoring. If your ex still keeps images of you two on social media, that's a great sign. That is a good indicator that your ex will come back to you, because maybe, probably, they haven't fully given up on this and they still feel something. That's where you know no contact is working. That means continue to stay away. Let it keep building. It's a cake in the oven. Just because it smells good, it doesn't mean it's ready to be taken out and cut into pieces and served and eaten. Now, do not ask them when they reach out to you or if you're in contact with them, so are you thinking you might want us to get back together? Don't ask them that. That will probably push them back a little bit. It will delay things or permanently harm them. So act as though you're ignorant of that you're focusing on your life, that you're not even thinking about that. Because we want that possibility of loss, that fear of loss from their end, that they could lose you, that you could move on and they couldn't get you back, even if they wanted you. We want that to be there. We want some of that mystery there. So while you shouldn't say things like, I don't want to get back together, you should also not be saying, so how are you feeling? Avoid relationship talk right now. Avoid it. And again, you should be in no contact, so the only way this could be happening is if they reach out. If your ex goes down memory lane, do you remember when we did this? Do you remember when we went there, did that, met this person together, were at this concert together? If they do that, it is also a craving for intimacy. They're remembering those times fondly, romantically, and they are actually trying to substitute you by remembering what you two did together. Basically, you're not there, and so their brain is recreating you because it feels good. It helps a little bit, but it only temporarily helps. It's only a band-aid over a bullet wound. They likely will need much more, and that's another reason why they're wanting you to reminisce with them. And it's okay to do that a little bit, but remember, if you are in no contact and they reach out to you and you have a little bit of interaction with them, don't let it last too long. Be friendly, be polite, but have something you need to do to get going, and you'll talk to them later. Reminisce a little bit, but leave them wanting. If your ex asks mutual friends, how are you doing? What's going on in your world? What's he doing? Is he dating anyone? How's his job going? If they ask details about you, is she still going to this place on Tuesday night with her friends? That's valuable as well, because it does tell us they're trying to get information. They're missing that intimacy with you. They're missing being part of your daily life, and they might even be wanting to show up somewhere and see you. They're also probably trying to see if you're still available, because they're feeling that fear of loss. They want to know if they have lost you, or if they will, or if it's a possibility, if maybe they could get you back. So that's a great sign as well, that you will get your ex back, that they will come back to you. If your ex is struggling with the breakup and they're doubting their decision to break up with you, that's when the odds are highest that you can get your ex back. It is certainly not absolute, it's not guaranteed, but if you use the no contact rule and let your ex feel the loss, then you are giving yourself the best chance, which is all you can do. All of life is a house of cards anyway. You could lose anything. Anything bad could happen. When you accept that, it's actually quite empowering. It's freeing. But recognizing actions taken by your ex and saying, this is a good thing, we could get back together, and wanting to get back together with your ex is a positive thing. It's not a bad thing. It, however, will run its course and you should move on eventually. But what it shows is that you cared about someone and that you can be in a committed relationship and not just walk away from it. And that's actually a sign of maturity and strength and just being a good person. People on my channel often will say, an ex is an ex for a reason, as though I've never heard that one before. And I will be making a video about that in the near future. But just know that even if your ex is an ex for a reason, that people can look at what they've done and regret it. They can miss you. They can see your place in their life, and they can grow from it and realize that you two were great together. And that's actually a positive thing. People who just keep finding their way back to each other are the ones who have long-term staying power. So don't think that just because you two have broken up means that you can't be together permanently or long-term. That's not what it means. Be sure to check out my emergency breakup kit. I'll link to that in the description below. It's the culmination of my 20 years in the relationship recovery service. It's a guide to help you get your ex back. And I will link to the emergency breakup kit in the description below. And I also have the emergency marriage kit, which is obviously for marriage relationships who are separated or considering divorce or right on the edge of divorce. Even if you're the only one who wants to save your marriage, it can help you get your spouse back. Please click the subscribe button below and subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.